Welcome back. As you know, I'm Eli the Computer Guy here for the Daily Blob, where I have to say, I did not see this coming. I'll admit it, I don't see everything that's coming down the pike, and I am actually kind of surprised about this. Apparently, Israel has gotten so bad that Microsoft can no longer ignore it, right? The senior executives at Microsoft have realized they can't hide the turd anymore. So I guess they're gonna try to shine it to a spit polish. Again, surprising. Microsoft cuts off cloud services to Israeli military unit after report of storing Palestinians' phone calls, right? The Israeli intelligence services, Unit 8200, they are basically collecting and storing all Palestinian voice communication, right? So if Palestinians talk over the phone, all of that is being collected and all of that is being stored. It has to be stored somewhere, and my argument in the modern world is why build your own infrastructure and have that kind of liability when you can use somebody else's? And so apparently Israel has been using the Azure cloud platform to store all of that data, right? Microsoft employees, curiously enough, have been protesting a lot about Microsoft's culpability in the ethnic cleansing of the Gazans, right? So the Microsoft employees are out there. They have protested, they have gotten arrested, and it's been a big brouhaha. One of the things I find interesting about this, especially being a technology professional, is that Microsoft has gotten a lot of focus for what their responsibility for Gaza is, when no other tech company has. Like, it's weird, right? Intel was going to invest $20 billion into Israel. And to be clear, that failure of investment had nothing to do with Gaza and everything to do with Intel seemingly going into the death spiral, right? But Intel was going to put $20 billion into Israel, and nobody really seemed to say boo about it, right? NVIDIA right now has a tremendous amount of investment into Israel, and NVIDIA is all about artificial intelligence. And when you think about the practical use cases of artificial intelligence, you realize, the target of that AI might be a particular set of people that are currently getting ethnically cleansed, but nobody really seems to be screaming about NVIDIA for some reason. I'm sure AWS is selling their data services to Israel. Nobody seems to be saying anything about AWS, but it is curious here how Microsoft employees have been up in arms. I honestly didn't figure Microsoft would do anything about it, but it appears now that they do at least have to do something, or at least say that they're doing something. Microsoft said Thursday that it has stopped providing certain services to a division of the Israeli Ministry of Defense. So do realize with this, and this is where you have to be careful with words, right? They are not dropping Israel as a customer. Oh, no. They are not dropping the Israeli Ministry of Defense as a customer. No. They are dropping, they're going to stop providing certain services to a division of the Israeli Ministry of Defense. I'll be curious to see how this actually flushes out at the end of the day. I can imagine things will just kind of get shifted around, and then everybody will try to go back to business as usual. That's kind of how all of this works. But, I mean, Microsoft is doing something, I guess. The company did not say which specific services it had stopped providing. The decision comes after the software company investigated an August report from The Guardian saying the Israeli Defense Forces Unit 8200 had built a system for tracking Palestinians' phone calls. Quote, "While our review is ongoing, we have found evidence that supports elements of The Guardian's reporting," Brad Smith, Microsoft's president and vice chair, wrote in an email to employees. Quote, "This evidence includes information relating to IMOD consumption of Azure storage capacity in the Netherlands and the use of AI services. Microsoft's decision to stop providing those services follows pressure from employees who have protested Israel's use of the company's software as part of its invasion of Gaza. The move comes a week after the United Nations Commission said that Israel has committed genocide against Palestinians with its invasion of Gaza. Microsoft told Israeli defense officials that it had decided to disable cloud storage and artificial intelligence subscriptions the agency was using, Smith wrote. He said Microsoft does not look at customer data for the type of review it conducted, and he thanked the British newspaper for its reporting on the development. I do think this is kind of an interesting thing to be thinking about in the modern world, especially with cloud infrastructure services. The whole idea of, can you still say you're blind, that you have no visibility into how your systems are being used by major customers, major clients, right? I understand there's an argument out there, right? If you have a whole bunch of users all paying $10 a month for Dropbox accounts, you probably don't want to have visibility into whatever the hell those Dropbox accounts are. It's a technical pain in the ass. It's a maintenance pain in the ass. It's a legal pain in the ass. So that makes sense. I do wonder, though, in this modern world, especially with regulations and sanctions, right? Sanctions are being tossed around and all this other kind of thing. Is it still wise to basically not have know your customer rules when you're dealing with very large customers? Understanding how they are actually going to be using your services for things like the reputational liability that it puts on your company. Right? Because you could say, from Microsoft's point of view, we want no visibility into any customer's data. It's not our purview. It's not what we should worry about. And in a lot of ways, that makes a lot of sense. On the other hand, right? If you're now being compared to IBM, right? IBM sold tabulation machines to the Nazis to do what they did, and now Microsoft is selling data storage services to the Zionists so they can do what they do. Right? At what point does having no visibility into your customers' utilization of your systems actually become a real risk that your company has to worry about? Reputational and otherwise. One of the big things to be thinking about now, in things like asymmetric warfare, terrorism and asymmetric warfare, and that type of deal. Right? If you're storing a tremendous amount of data on a people that are being ethnically cleansed, at what point do you become a legitimate target? Right? Think about this. Like when I was in the Army, right? I did electronic repair, so electronic communication systems, that type of deal. Right? If you're at a base, when your base gets hit by a missile, and you're all wearing BDUs, right? I mean, there's a lot of screaming, there's a lot of crying, the whole 9 yards. But people are like, well. Right? A military unit was attacked with this missile because they were storing data about the enemy. Right? You can scream, bitch, whine, and moan, but everybody's probably going to be like, yeah, I mean, it makes sense. Right? The interesting thing, again, with this consumerization of military assets, I've talked about that before with Starlink, right? Starlink is supposed to be a consumer internet service and is literally being used by the Ukrainian military to kill Russians, right? When a tank goes boom, when an aircraft goes boom, when a ship goes boom, that is killing Russians, right? When they talk about tanks and aircrafts and ships, that's something called desensitization. They want you to think about the physical object, right? Destroying a physical object does not have the emotional resonance of thinking about killing and slaughtering people, right? But Starlink is being used to slaughter Russians. That's the reality. And again, you got to think about it for Elon Musk. Whatever you might think about Elon Musk, I do not believe that is the product pipeline he was looking for. Again, you start thinking about this as your data centers, right? Microsoft comes out. Look, we are a consumer company. Yeah, we might have like government clients or whatever else, but we're just doing normal data stuff. We're just doing payroll. We're just doing that type of thing, right? As soon as your data centers, though, are literally collecting information about people that are being ethnically cleansed, at what point does that become a legitimate military target? And if you're the CIO, the CTO, whatever else, you really do have to ask yourself, is this a risk that you really want to take? And so I'll be curious going into the future if this whole lack of visibility for customers' data continues to remain. Let's see here. As employees, quote, as employees, we all have a shared interest in privacy protection given the business value it creates by ensuring our customers can rely on our services with rock solid trust. If you're trying to eliminate a population, you know you can put your databases on our systems for trust. On Thursday, The Guardian reported the unnamed intelligence sources had said Unit 8200 was planning to migrate its supply of phone calls to AWS, the market-leading public cloud. AWS did not immediately comment. So, when one vendor says no to genocide, don't worry. There'll be another vendor that'll come around the corner and be able to offer products and services. And so now it looks like, right, these services may be now migrated over to AWS. What I'll be interested to see with all of this, if it actually does get migrated over to AWS, is if Amazon employees give a damn. Right? Again, this is a fascinating thing. It's a fascinating thing with Microsoft, where you see the Microsoft employees really care, right? Again, protesting, they've been arrested, the whole 9 yards. They really care about this issue. And when you look at most of the rest of the tech industry, nobody gives a fuck. It's true, right? You're not supposed to say it, but in fact, it's true. So it'll be curious if migrating over to AWS, all of a sudden the problems go away for the Israeli Defense Force and collecting all of that data. So yeah, we will see how this progresses going into the future. So there you go. If you are a Microsoft employee, you can't protest hard enough for the company to do something. What exactly did it do? That's a hell of a question mark. And again, even the fact that the Microsoft executive is coming out and literally as they say they're doing this, they're also making it very clear they don't want to know what data anybody is holding on their systems at the exact same time. So, you know, is it kind of one of those things like, Department 8200? Oh, no, we're not going to put Department 8200's data on your systems anymore. Don't worry, we have heard your message, Microsoft, loud and clear. No, we're going to put Department 8300's data on your systems. Entirely different. We're going to need about the exact same amount of storage space, and we're going to need about the exact same amount of fault tolerance and redundancy. But the data that Department 8300 is getting is entirely different than 8200. I mean, you don't think we would lie to you or anything. So yeah, we'll see how that goes. What do you think about this? What do you think about Microsoft in some fashion capitulating to their employees? What do you think about the Israeli Defense Force? Okay, fine. Now they're migrating their stuff to AWS. Do you think Amazon employees give half a shit about the ethnic cleansing going on in Gaza, or are they just happy to take their paychecks? It is a fascinating thing to watch, especially in this current times of the economic kerfuffles that we're going through. You know, which technology corporation's culture is most focused on actually paying mortgages? I think that's what we're going to see over the next couple of years. So put your thoughts down below. If you like these videos, give us a thumbs up. If you hate these videos, give us a thumbs down. Call me amazing. Call me a moron. Just do it in the comment section like a big dog would. Do remember SiliconDojo.com. We are back. We have scheduled our first in-person class again in a little while. We are doing a class on AI and Olama and building an AI application. We are going to be in Durham, North Carolina on October 8th. If you're interested in that, you can go over to SiliconDojo.com. You can become a member and you can sign up for that. It's free to the end user. You show up, you learn. We also are going to have a fireside chat soon, so that's pretty cool. SiliconDojo.com. And with that, see y'all later.